that you normally do, then
Yes. Well, what also, are we live?
we're live. I didn't
Oh,
click it. You clicked the button this
see,
time.
I did it. I did it. No, I was gonna say on Twitter, like when I actually do sort of post it, repost
Yeah.
it or whatever, it gets more, I don't know, whatever. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Okay.
we are back after a lengthy pause. Mostly my fault.
Your fault.
We're back.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just shut my phone. Mute my phone. Probably do this in the 15 minutes that we have to prepare before we go on, but that never freaking happens because me and you wind up talking to each other and not
I
doing
know.
it we're supposed to. All right.
Surprise, we're actually friends.
Good to go.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about you before. Okay, let's catch up. Everyone, hello. Here's what's been happening. Jon was traveling. You went to a few places.
What to the
I went to
Philippines?
the Philippines. The Philippines, not a few places, one place
One place.
for a wedding. I am in Texas helping my parents with some stuff, and that's why I'm in a closet right now. And Jon looks like in a normal place. Oh no, you're in a different angle, aren't you?
It's like mirrored for some reason. Yeah, and there's like more. I must have it in like HD, like
Yeah,
720 or
weird.
something, because there's like
Okay.
more stuff here.
I don't think I've ever seen any part of your house other than that neon thing you have in the
Yeah,
background that I
and you
see
got the
like a
big vodka
tiny.
bottle in the back.
Perfect. Anyway, catch me up. How is the Philippines?
The Philippines. Well, we went right during that typhoon.
Mm.
Yeah, like right there,
Oh my God,
and
I didn't even connect that was
yeah,
happening while you were there. Whoa. Okay, say more.
and it was, what do you call it? Like we weren't in the eye of it, but we were in kind of the outskirts of it, like the eye. Well, it was like pretty northern Philippines. We went to Boracay and Manila. That's where we were hanging out with like my girl's friends' family.
Okay.
So we were hanging out over there. So we didn't get like the full effect of the storm, but even on the outskirts of it, it was like crazy windy, choppy. Like I'll send you some videos, but it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was
That was it. So
not like a
scary.
nor'easter or hurricane.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So, but other than that, it was sick. It was a crazy time. I'd never been to the Philippines before, and like it was what do you call it? It was awesome.
Man, what is so you were in some cities, Manila, of course, a big city, right? What is the other one?
Boracay is like an island,
Oh,
beach island, very like
okay.
it was a little touristy. It was kind of a combination between like touristy and low key. If you
Gotcha.
wander off the beach, you're in like, you're, what do you call it, just kind of wandering the streets.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Is it like naturey or is it like city or is it like just sort of culturally interesting? Like, what would you say is the vibe?
I think the probably it's very like it feels like jungle. Like it reminded me of like Costa Rica, like the way that the
Ah,
vegetation was and stuff. And that's
okay.
one of the coolest things that I found, like that I liked about Costa Rica, was like it just feels like they carved this civilization out of the middle of the jungle,
Yeah.
which is so cool because it looks like Jurassic Park. You're looking around like, wow, it's a giant leaf. Like it's weird. It's just you're just not used to it if you grew up in like the mid Atlantic of the
Yep.
U.S. So it reminded me a lot of that. But the city was the city. Like Manila felt like New York City in some areas. In some areas
Hmm.
it was like very, very poverty. Like I saw a family like sleeping under a like an umbrella, and I was like, wow,
Oh,
this is
it's
another level. So it was, yeah, the transition. I walked down one street from like one place to another, and like what I walked through was like wildly different, like high end hotels, and then schools,
oh man.
and then like slums, and like it was just it was all like right in that one pad.
That's so interesting. A few years ago, Jeremy and I went to Albania and we stayed in Tirana, which is the capital, for just like a week. And then we went out to the coast. And Tirana felt like every block felt like a different country that we had been to. Like this block felt like India. This block felt like Indonesia. This one felt like Thailand. This way, it was the strangest experience. It was like there was no core personality to this city that's the capital city of a of a country, you would think it would have like that vibe, so, a specific vibe. And it just felt like a grab bag of, and maybe all those other places feel like that block in Toronto. I don't know, how you frame that, but I think it's just fascinating when you go to a place and it's like, doesn't feel cohesive, if that makes sense.
It feels like you're in two different places,
Yeah.
like in a very short distance. Yeah, I mean, Queens is in New York City is very much like that. Like you walk
Uh-huh.
through different neighborhoods and you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
everything, all the signs are in like Mandarin now. Like,
That's so true.
like why?
Yep. Yep. That's why we like the neighborhood we lived in Spain. We lived in Raval, which if you say that to a Spanish person or even like a nomad type, they're like Raval, God, because it has a bad reputation for just being like the shitty part of Barcelona. And like we loved it because every block felt like a different area of the world. Because like Spanish people don't really live in Raval. It's like immigrant communities and pockets of, and everything like smells really interesting because of what people are cooking and stuff. We liked it a
Interesting.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, Raval. That's how you say it.
Raval,
Oh,
Raval. Yeah.
speaking of which,
Raval.
how are your Spanish lessons going?
Yeah.
We
So
haven't talked about your Spanish lessons in a while.
I know it's going really well. I switched to 1 hour a week instead of 2 half hours a week for reasons. And it's going well. Like I'm able to have little conversations with her. They are slow conversations because I'm like in my mind trying to like, find the right word or find an alternative word if I don't know the word. So I just don't have the recall yet. Um, but like I can like do past tense and future tense. I'm not in any of the conditional sort of like I would go or I should go, any of that kind of stuff yet. It's
So
still
hard to remember.
basic shit,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I'm able to kind of like tell her what's going on in my life or like what happened in the past week and, ask questions and stuff like that. So I feel like pretty good. Of all the things in my life, Spanish, crazy. Spanish is the one that I'm like, oh, that's going well. I can like, and it feels tangible too. Like from week to week, you just feel the progress. But like, I haven't been able to study in a couple weeks. So now, and she's being so nice to me because like everybody, my life's been a little dramatic in the past couple of weeks. My dad has some health problems, so I'm back in the States, and she's been just like, hey, don't worry. Like, we can just, I'm like trying to explain it to her in Spanish and just kind of, it's hard. And so she's given me homework that's like just mechanical, just drilling this one, concept, which is like nice to have a thing that's, you don't really have to like exercise that really nuanced part of your brain. I think that's part of what I like about some aspects of building to bring it back, to bring everything to, to what we actually talk about on here is like sometimes I don't know if you have this experience, but like sometimes you have a task that you need to like dig into and process and think about and walk away from and come back to and that kind of stuff. And then sometimes you have a
Oh
task
yeah.
that's just executing and like I don't know, I think that's one of my favorite things about this work is that you get both of those. Like it's exhausting to do the deep nuancy stuff all the time or it can be depending on what type of brain you have. But then like the sort of, you know, like just executing stuff like that gets boring. So
Yeah.
like we kind of get to
Oh,
switch back and forth.
I hope that other people recognize what you just said as like I being true for like I guess all of us have a different degree of patience for like that
Yeah.
nuanced stuff and like the like monotonous bullshit that you just have to do.
Hmm.
I'm much more patient for the monotonous stuff.
Mm.
I can do about an hour to 2 hours a day of the nuance stuff. Like that takes a lot out of me, and I get really tired if I'm like focusing on the nuance. But
Yeah.
that's really the interesting part, right? Like that's all
Yeah.
the interesting stuff. And then once that becomes a little bit more routine for me, then I'm like, okay, I can do this at scale now. But like it
Yeah.
takes me a while to get there.
Yeah. Well, also because that nuance stuff, I feel like in the beginning, number one, you're figuring out conceptually stuff about like the business and the app and the user flows and all that kind of stuff. But you're also thinking, well, how am I going to technically do this in Bubble? What makes sense if you're using Bubble, right? And so you have 20 things that you're trying to fit together in your brain. And it's really hard to just like get all that like visually on paper. It like, do you know what I mean? And so in the beginning, when I started working in bubble, I was like, how do I manage this mentally? You know, how do I like keep all these things kind of, you just feel like you're juggling, you know, 20 things at one time. And now that feels, I don't even think about it. It's just totally normal to keep all those things in your brain. But it's like, I'm thinking about this because my, so my dad had a stroke and he's okay. It was a small one, but the doctor is talking about like now those parts of, I don't know if you know this, I didn't know this, when you have a stroke, your cells die, part of your brain dies. And so I don't think that can be regenerated, but you can build new sort of stuff on top of the dead stuff. But you have to do all this therapy, physical therapy and speech therapy and things like that don't even feel necessary because like his arms and legs move fine. He can speak totally fine. But this therapy is what the purpose of it is, just creating new neuro pathways, I guess, right? And so it's doing this invisible thing that's retraining your brain without you being able to grab onto it and go like, oh, I can like lift this thing now because I did this therapy. It's like all hidden and in your brain. And I think like that's what working in complex systems does. Like I feel like now thinking about that, I feel like bubble has actually changed the way my brain works. It's made new sort of pathways that didn't exist before, or maybe existed, but were like weak connections between 2 different or 5 different or 20 different sort of parts of my brain. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
This actually ties into something that I wanted to talk about today. So I love that you're going here.
Great.
So let me ask you something though. When you like have an app idea in your head or some screens that you want to lay out or whatever, some workflow, do you do that like in the development environment for like is Bubble the first place you go to build that, or do you like sketch it,
No.
or how do you do that?
No, I go to usually Lucid, which is like, do you know Lucid? Lucid,
Yeah,
if you
Lucid.
don't know,
Yeah.
it's like it's for lots of things. It's basically an empty canvas, an infinite canvas, and you can do, I can share my screen and kind of show you maybe.
That's more like a prototype, or not a prototype, like the wireframing, right? Figma? Not Figma. Like a
No, it's not
wireframing tool?
wireframing. No, let's see. I'll show you. It also takes a while to load. It's like, okay, where are you? And now I can present share screen.
While you're figuring that out, there is a new tool that I absolutely love. That is like what I'm using now for product research, and I want to like tell the world about this because
Okay.
it's so freaking good and it's cheap.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, so this is an example of what I do. It's not usually this detailed at the beginning. This is actually like a user flow. Like someone starts here, they click on this, it navigates here.
This is not wireframing? What's
No,
wireframing?
no. Wireframing would be like you would do that in Figma. You would do like
Oh,
so
okay.
I've done the same thing. Oh, I can't. Sorry, hang on. I'm gonna share.
I want to say Lucid Charts for some reason.
Lucid chart.
Charts?
Yeah, they have I'll show these tips again. Lucid has a bunch of different sort of products under it. Okay, now at the stage. Okay, so Lucid this is Lucid chart, which is like flow charts basically, right? And this is how I do like flow planning and, you know, the specifics. I do this with complex flows. I don't do this with just like your random small thing. This was like a really complex flow. And the beauty of this is that you can find patterns. Like this is a project creation flow that I have sort of anonymized this for teaching, but this was a literal flow that I built for a client, and it was a multi-step flow. And I realized that it was basically all the same stuff. So I was able to create a back-end workflow that handled each of these steps in the same workflow. So it made it really simple. Whereas if I didn't map this out, I would have built 6 different workflows for this, if that makes sense. And I
Got
would
it.
have,
Okay.
yeah. And so like this was one reusable element. So visually it was the same, and one reusable bit of logic, right? So I do this type of thing when I sense that it's going to be a really complex flow. I don't do this every time, but I do use Lucid for like database planning, right? So especially again, if it's going to be a complex thing, right? I'm just sort of mapping stuff out. So yeah, that's when I
What about like that? So that speaks to like setting up a database and
yeah.
the underlying logic of a workflow. But what about like your UI stuff? Do you just
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
in Figma. I do that in Figma. And
You
like,
do that in Figma. Okay.
yeah, I mean, at this point in I'm trying to think if there are, so like this is an example of like a wireframe that I did with a client that we did like on the fly, kind of, right? That's just super basic. This would be a wireframe. Now there's tons of tools for this. I don't like wireframing that much. I find it to be like, um, I think clients have a really hard time visualizing. They look at these gray boxes and they can't translate to what it will look like. But then if you get too high res, they're like, well, that's not my branding and I don't want to. So I find wireframing just to be honestly not that useful for me and too confusing for the
Interesting.
client. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's um, like when I was doing straight design, like before I found Bubble, if I brought a concept to a client, like a quick mock-up of a concept, and as much as I said, this is just a concept that it'll be fleshed out and look better, they just cannot get past it. They can't get past it. The only way I was able to communicate a concept to a client was either only in words, no visuals whatsoever, and that rarely worked, or just fully done. Like high res, everything is pretty much done. It just takes like a little bit of tweaking. People cannot like make the leap. They can't mentally make the leap unless they like have a design background, in my experience. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's like this is where like freelancing and my world are very different
Yeah,
because like
interesting.
this is like I don't like no one that I'm going to has any preconceived notions about
Mm,
what this product is or could be.
mhm.
I'm recruit. So okay, let me back up. What am I doing? I'm trying. We're building a like the Forte product now, right? We're reimagining what this product could be around mental fitness and building exercise. So I'm redesigning all the onboarding and stuff. And I have a UI designer that's helping me do this in Figma. And I've made a promise to myself that before I do this stuff in Bubble and actually build what it is that we think might work, we're going to get some user validation
Yeah,
before we do that. Because I always make the same mistake. I rush into building something and then like I don't even know whether it's good or not. It's like I can kind of, there's some trackable events that I can put in place. Like, yeah, they clicked this button or they did this, but I'm not hearing any kind of internal dialogue about what the hell are you even understanding of what's in
yeah.
front of you. You can't do that in Bubble. You can't do that in any real like pure development environment because
I mean, you can
you're
with
just
like Hotjar. You can use an app that shows heat maps and clicking patterns and stuff like that.
well, funny
Okay.
you say that. So I found Maze, right? Maze.co, and I love this. So what the way that I've set it up is that you upload a Figma design, right? This is the new onboarding that we're imagining that the UI designer has come up with. We put that into Maze, and it's $5 per submission per
Okay.
survey, someone that responds, and you can bring your own recruits, or you can send it out to their pool of testers.
Testers. Yeah.
It records their keystrokes. It records the heat maps, what they click on. It records their face and their voice as they're seeing what they're seeing. So they're like they're talking through what they're seeing
Wow.
as they do it. That's part of the platform. And like I put a test out this morning. I could put a study, they call it a study, out this morning, and I got 5 responses already. I got more feedback on this onboarding in the last like 3 hours than I have in like 3 months trying to do it another way.
Wow. Amazing.
I'm so happy about this. I am like ecstatic that this thing even exists. And like, I'm like, why the hell isn't anybody like, well, it took me like to go to ChatGPT to find this. Maybe I should be on Twitter, right? But I had to look up the existing product research tools. Yes, that one. The existing product research tools, and user testing was like too expensive, and voice panel didn't really show like where people are clicking. So I had to go through a few tests of like what I actually need at this phase. And when I like literally today or last night maybe, I got to Maze, and I'm like, this is exactly what I've been looking for at the price point that I can afford. And like the skies just opened up for me. You know,
Yeah,
like
so cool.
it feels like anything's possible now because this thing is like doing exactly what I need to.
And so this is you're adding like a Figma thing. It's not a bubble. It's not like people actually using bubble, right?
Correct. I can do that. I can embed the app into one of these studies, but I would have to build that, which would take a lot longer. The UI person is really efficient at Figma, and she can build this stuff way faster than I can in Bubble. So it makes more sense for her to design that. Let's put it into these testing environments and see like what's resonating with people, and then I'll go build this part of it in Bubble. So this is a totally new approach for me. And again, I know this seems so obvious in retrospect, but I don't think that a lot of people do it this way. I think that people tend to build what they think people are going to find important, like in a functional way, and say, oh, no, it has to work before I put it out in front of anybody. Instead of like, is this even the right thing to be focusing on in the first place? It's what I've done for years. I assume that other people make this mistake too.
Well, so, okay. Do you know Mike and Yusuf from Minimum Studio, those guys?
Yep.
Yeah. So the first time I met them like in person, we were talking about our process, about this. It wasn't about user testing, but it was like, what order do you do things in? And if I'm working on a new project, like existing apps, it's a totally different project. But if I'm building a new project for a client, I am Figma first. I never touch Bubble for weeks. I mean, a couple weeks, 3 weeks, right? It's all planning, discovery, and then high res mockups in Bubble of just like the main pages, and it's a clickable prototype. And I walk through the client through the flow with the client so they can see it. And that determines for me if that's right, if that's what we're building, right? I do that before I do even the data modeling. Because depending on how not depending on how it looks, but the flow of something, often you miss stuff until you see it, right? Like how many times have you built something for a client and then they're like, yeah, and what about, whatever. And you're like, we didn't talk about that. And they're like, well, it was obvious. That's just an obvious thing, right? Until they see it and can respond to it and say where the gaps are, you don't know what you're building. And so I do it that way. Mike and Yusuf do functionality first. They'll talk through the feature. I don't know what they do now. I haven't talked to them in a while, but they would talk through a feature and then they would build it an ugly version in Bubble and be like, it does this. And then it's a different approach. But to me, I was like, well, sure, but it's going to work because Bubble. You could say, oh yeah, that's possible in Bubble. I never quite understood that the process. They would make sure it's functionally working. I think it's to get buy-in from the client maybe. And then they would design it. And I always do the designs first because then you can get super clarity on if what you're building is going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I don't think that like that approach makes sense to me in how they, get the information from the client. What I'm putting forward is that like, there's an in-between of what you put in front of the client and what they say, yeah, that's good, Kelly, build that for me. And actually you building it. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole step that everyone skips in the beginning. It's like, yeah, the client's happy with that. Who else cares about this though? Is this worth even building? So that's the thing that I'm trying to stick in between those two
I gotcha.
Processes. So like, let me ask you this. as a freelancer, how hard is it going to be to convince your customer to pause and say, hey, before we build this, there's a phase of user research that we're going to do.
Almost impossible. Yeah, almost
Exactly.
impossible. Yeah, because like that's a new concept for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't actually have users, right? A lot of clients. Now, if they have an existing app and they understand the value of that type of thing, like if they have been running a startup for any length of time, they are aware of user research and probably just don't know how to do it or what, and so they don't do it, right? So then if you come in with a solution and say, we can do this, here's how it works, here's the cost, here's the time cost and the financial cost, whatever. Like if you provide the users or we use their test users or whatever, like I'll run this process, it'll take a few days. Like, but a few days in development, freelance money, like that can be thousands of dollars, right? So it just depends on whether they value that enough. Like
I'm saying that I think this is a whole like I don't even know if this is not development yet. This is like
right.
what you should do before development and like a service worth paying for, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to make, because I guess it all depends on how they come to you, right? All of the customers that I ever got when I was putting myself out there as a bubble freelancer just said build it. They
just build it. They just want to think,
build it, right? Totally. Yeah. Which was almost always a mistake. No, it was always a mistake. I'm not going to say almost. It was always a mistake. So, but like it is. I think that I don't think that user testing or user research is a new thing, but I do think that the tools that we have now are new and they make it a lot easier. Like I said, it's $5 and I put per survey and I put it out there this morning and I got 5 responses already. Yeah. It is 10 a.m. Eastern time.
That's wild. Again,
that is unheard of for me. And then there's all these like AI follow-up questions that they build into the thing. So it's like I can do, I put a little bit, I put some thought into the questions, but there's also these follow-ups that they automatically do. But like, is there a way to market this as a service? Like I'm thinking from your perspective as like a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to market this as a service? Like, hey, I'm going to get you from design and validate your idea. Is that not a service in itself? Like beyond just the build?
Yeah. I mean, I think I struggle with this all the time because because what am I trying to articulate? For myself, I would love to have that as a part of the process and I haven't pursued it because I assume clients won't want to pay for it, which is probably, I don't know, it's probably wrong. But also, I feel like when I see developers who are like, I build in Flutterflow and Bubble and, WeWeb and blah, 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 blah. And they're all of these different things. I'm like, you can't be good at all those. You just can't be. And so like to me, it lowers my perception of their expertise and I know you can learn all of those things. I know I'm probably wrong about that, but I'm saying my first impression is like unlikely that you are deep enough in any of these tools to do it, right? And so then I look at myself and I go, if I don't just focus on being a bubble developer, then it's going to weaken my perception of expertise. If I'm like, I'm also like, I'm a designer because I have a design background, right? Like I was a designer before Bubble, but I don't like I don't do like full designs of apps anymore. I don't want to, that's not my expertise. And so I just focus on Bubble development, right? And so I feel like if then I add on this new thing, it just kind of weakens it for me. But maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I do think that most Bubble clients want someone who can just do it all. But the best clients I've had have been like, I know that no developer can do it all. I know that. And so it's like a test for them where they're like, what's she going to say she can't do well? And then when I say that, they're like, thank you. That's great. I trust you now. Right.
I see what you're saying. I do. I think
That was
that
the
this
longest
is
response to what you asked. I'm sorry.
no. I think a lot of people think that way in what you're
Mhm.
describing. And the what am I trying to say now? I lost my own train of
I
thought.
derailed you. Yeah, it's my fault.
It's the it's almost I guess like I feel like what you build is more important than how you build it. So
Mhm.
I'm like so much less. I'm so much more interested in what the right thing to build is
Yeah.
at this point. Let me start from that umbrella statement. And
Yeah.
that's almost kind of a hot take because it's like, well, a developer is going to say, no, how you build it is everything. But
Yeah.
a person who's building a product, which is really, if you think about the customers that come to you, is what they're trying to do. They're not trying to, like, most of them don't even want to know how it's built. They just want
Yeah.
to know that you can build it. But
Yep.
they very rarely stop to ask themselves, like, is this even a good idea? They're so sure that it is a good idea that they skip the most important step of, should
Yeah.
I even build this? Should I spend my money on this? And I think this is an answer. This, like this, I'm thinking of it, as just as, again, like a freelance service. Like, this is an answer to that. It's like, wait, you want to build this? Cool. I know
Mhm.
bubble developers, or I am a bubble developer. But this is the step that you should take before you pay someone to do that. There's maybe a 3-week validation. You want to get 100 surveys saying all the same shit, and then the first like 3 features to focus on
Right.
with what you actually built. Um, do you disagree with that? Like, I'd love to
No,
hear you like disagree with this because
I don't disagree with you. Here's what I think, like, if I'm putting myself in that process, right, as the service provider, and this is kind of how I handle, like, uh, onboarding and sales with clients, is I don't advertise any of that. I wouldn't advertise any of that for myself. I might have a line in my copy somewhere on the website that no one's gonna read that I'd say, like, "And I validate before I build," right? Which I don't have that in my process right now. I to be clear, right? But when I fold things like that in to the project or to the pitch is on the sales call or in the it's on the sales call. It's before the project starts and I give a budget, right? Where I talk about this slice of the project. Like for me, the equivalent or not it's not the same thing, but like is talking about the data structure. I don't skip through that. I spend like a week and a half at least, and we have multiple calls and we talk through all of the features that they want. And usually it's like a 2-week process where it's just like back and forth, clarifying wireframes, maybe, mock-ups, whatever. And then the data structure and the page structure and the app structure and the reusable strategy, all of that planning stuff. Like that takes time. And so I don't put that on my website. I'm going to spend 2 weeks just planning and having calls with you. I don't talk about any of that stuff. But when I'm finally talking to the client, then I'm going to explain that part of the process. And they're like, and why it's important. And then they're like, great, right? But I don't think that if you just tell someone that's a part of your process, that they'll understand the value of it enough for it to be a compelling element in the sales process, if that makes
So
sense.
the value in the mind of the customer is the build, right? Like that's the thing that
Yeah.
they came to you for. That's what they want. They don't
Hmm.
want to hear that we're going to take this time to
Yep.
validate whether your idea is good or not. Because again, they if they came to you in the first place, they have to assume that their idea is good and is going to resonate with people. Why would
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Which I
Yep.
think is the biggest fallacy that you could make if you're building a new product.
Hmm.
But to your point, it's more like it doesn't matter what John thinks; it matters what the customer will pay for. So,
Yeah.
but if you inject this thing that they don't see as valuable, you're doing yourself a disservice as a freelancer, right? Is that
Yeah.
am I
I think,
understanding that right?
yeah, it's basically like you want to sell them on the dessert and then fold in the vegetables that they need, right? Not
Okay,
and you're not I'm not saying deceive people. Like they want a thing. If you're saying, "I know you want that thing, but I'm going to give you this other thing," they're just not going to hire you. And they're going to
sure.
lose out but you have to provide both, right? Maybe it's a different dessert than what they actually initially thought that they wanted because the vegetables are I'm gonna drop the metaphor now, but like they want a thing, they think it's the right thing. That process that comes before giving them that thing might change the thing that they think they want, right?
Okay.
So you have to give them both, but the thing they want that is going to lock them into you, or to get them like actually to even get on a sales call, the sell is the thing they want. And then you can bring up the thing they need throughout, or just, say, this is part of my process, right? You may, but like, you can't sell people on vegetables. They don't want that.
I see your point. I see your point, and I
Now,
think
I'm
that
sorry, quickly. Some people do want the vegetables. They're the savvier customers. And so like, yes, yes, some people, I don't want to say nobody wants that, but depending on where you are in your career and the level of customer you're going to get based on your skills and experience, blah, 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 right?
if you're building something for the first time, there's no chance you're selling them on product validation, right? Like
That's right.
if you're a first time product founder, whatever, and those are the
Mhm.
majority of the people that you get, right? If
Mhm.
you're freelancing,
Yeah.
especially if you're on like Upwork or
Yep.
wherever these customers, that's the majority of the client profile that I was getting when I was freelancing. I think they have to have been burned like 2 or 3 times before they're gonna see like this is the way
That's
to
right.
do it, right?
That's right. Yep.
So with that said, that is an addressable market, and I think that
Totally.
if you put yourself out there, forget the build. I am just going to help you validate your product. I know how to. I've done this 50 times. I know these are the success stories that I have, and this is like check out my website. We're gonna do this product validation thing. It's gonna cost you $2,500, right?
Mhm.
Do this before you do the build. 2,500 saves you 30,000 down the line. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever crazy ass marketing shit you come up with to
Right.
show a return on your investment. But like a $2,500, think of that as a sale. 2,500 flat rate. I know how long this stuff takes. I know how to build in Figma. I know how to do this, and it's going to take me like two weeks or a
Right.
week to do it, and that's $2,500 for me. I think that's a compelling offer, and I think it's a scalable offer. You can run three of those studies at the same time.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm starting to think that like if again I have no intention to go back to freelancing, but I would so do this part of it over building the actual application. Now I
Would
realize,
you
Kelly,
then?
I am more of a product person than I am a developer. Is what I've
No.
realized at this like I'm so much more excited, or maybe it's just new. It's
Yeah.
possible that this is also just new for me, and I'm excited about it because it's new. But I really light up when I hear something, like I get feedback on something that like, oh no, they thought it was this, but it's really this. That's all product work. That's not development work, right? The
Yeah.
development was always felt like a means to an end for me, but the product part
Mm.
is the part that's interesting to
Yep.
me. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I don't know, but I mean, I think you were. That's like spot on. What I was going to say was, what's I think is compelling about product work is that there's always new problems, there's always new tools and different ways of approaching it, and different ways of addressing things, right? This maze that you found, like there are other tools that do similar things and you could try them out. Like there's always new inputs and new outputs, right? Whereas like if you're building, you are assuming you're using the same technology, right? If it's Bubble or WeWeb or whatever, like the rate of change and interesting new stuff is pretty slow, right? And so like I think, and the like, man, how many times have you built a table? Like a repeating group that looks like a table and fucking, oh God.
Lining up
Like,
those goddamn headings? Yes.
yeah,
I never want to do
yeah,
that again.
yeah, exactly. Like it becomes monotonous after a while because you end up doing the same things over and over again. Whereas like product, I think is just more of sort of like it's a bigger candy bowl. It's like,
Forever
that makes
learning,
sense.
I guess, is the way that I think of.
Yeah.
Like you're always learning. You can always learn more. Like you pointed out, like there's new tools to learn, but I think that it's more like you're learning about the people that are using it, and I don't
Yeah.
think you can ever know enough about the people that are using your product. There's
Yeah.
always something else that's going to like, oh, this adds value for them. I never fucking expected that in a million years. Like,
Right.
well, like let's try that. Like that's super
Yeah.
exciting to me.
Well, and like I think if you're a person who is interested in people like you are, then like that is really compelling. If you're not, then like the technical, like I mean, let's be honest, like technical stuff, there's you're never going to know all that, right? So there is always something to learn on both sides of it. I think it just depends on like what kind of person you are and what sort of, I don't know, gets you sort of like energized, right? I think the best developers, I would guess, have both of those things. They get energized by figuring out the tech and energized by what people need and how their brains work, you know?
Yeah. Agreed. I think, yeah, my brother is a perfect example of this. I don't know if I've told you this, said this story before. Stop me if I have. The like he purposely goes down in lower level programming languages. Like JavaScript is a pretty high level programming language.
Okay.
He goes down deeper into ones that are not even used anymore, like COBOL or assembly language, and programs things in those language because he wants to have a complete deep understanding of the way that the machine interprets information. I will never do this. Right? Like I will never do this. But it's fascinating to him because he understands how the machine works at a very like fundamental level, like down to hardware almost. So like that to me is like someone who is very deeply interested in technology, right?
Yeah.
And the way that understanding the way that things work. And when he explains it to me, I'm fascinated by it. Like, but I won't spend the mental effort to like figure that stuff out. He will.
Yeah.
And I love his results. Like I want to know more about it, but like I'm not going to do it myself. So like to your point, it's like what about lights? Like what lights you up here? You know, like
yeah. Yeah, well, and what's cool is like now you can be the person who has like a bit of both of those things because there are tools, you know, no code tools or AI tools that kind of allow you to sort of not skip it. I don't want to say that, but like just you know, accelerate one of those, right? Even with like Maze, that does accelerate the learning thing of people, the people learning part, right? There's tools for both of those things. Whereas before, I think like you were one or the other. And I think I'm probably stuck a little bit in the one or the other thing. I feel like, well, I can't say I'm a UX expert because I say I'm a bubble expert and you can't be an expert in both, you know, which like, I'm not sure that's really true anymore, you know, but yeah, that's
I think
interesting.
being an expert is like what is like less important. I think the generalist is the the thing to be now, you know,
We
because
should have a whole conversation about this expert
that's
versus generalist and like the value of those things. Because
yeah, and like how useful are those skill sets when the barriers to become learning are a lot lower now, right? Like
yeah,
am I to be a generalist in this space or am I to be an expert in one thing? I'm total argument. There's no right or wrong answer there.
yeah.
Benoit likes your backpack.
Oh, you like that? This is a little Brenton holler. Hey, holler.
Yes.
Hey, holler.
Coldless Love. Shout out to Coldless Love and
Yeah, that's
Brenton
right.
and the
We got these
retreat.
as the I can't pull it down, but this was part of our swag from Brenton's bubble retreat, best practices retreat. It was just hanging out here. And I was like, I'm gonna put that as my background in this little closet. Anyway, hello, Benoit.
There's some talk of the next retreat.
I know.
I am in 2026 retreat. I am in.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
All right, so that is my love affair with Maze. I've been using it for exactly one day, so we'll see. I might come back next week and say, "Oh wow, this was not what I thought," but I'm very excited about it today.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
And
it out. It's cool.
it
Also, their
feels like
website's cool. It's a cool website.
you like the website.
Although, can I just say for a second, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. I'm just going to go on a rant for just a quick second here.
I love Kelly's rants. Come on.
Yeah.
I haven't had a good Kelly rant in a long time.
Yeah. Okay. This color palette, I just want to stab someone. This is so popular right now.
To stage.
Oh, am I not? Oh, okay.
All right, there you go.
Okay. This color palette. You have like a beige background, and then you have this neon green. This I am seeing over the past like year and a half. I've seen this on so many and then they'll add like an extra color in there, but it's always this green, yellow, and then this sort of like dull beige background. And I just am over it. Let's see, kit.com. They had this, and it used to be, I want to say it used to be green. that green, and they've changed it to blue now. But that same, look, same,
Okay.
slightly darker. It drives me
see.
crazy. Yeah.
I see.
Anyway,
Why does this? Why do you? Is it just because you've seen it too many times, or is it something about that color palette that you do not like?
I think it's because, like, is that me? It's a trend, and these designers who spend all day long, like, thinking about design don't recognize that it's a trend. And I'm like, how do you not know that? I'm not even a, like, designer anymore. And now I'm seeing this on every, it's kind of like how a few years ago Linear had that sort of dark mode. Do you remember this? Linear app.
So you feel as though it's like lazy, like
Yes,
it's
it's
like
fucking lazy. That's right.
lazy designing.
Yeah, drives me crazy. Okay, can you see this? So Linear has changed their design a little bit, but it was always this dark mode, really dark. I think it was like a blue, and it had kind of a glow around the elements that was sort of like blue, like a deep, deep blue. And it's beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful design. And all of a sudden, every single tech company's branding was Linear. It was just a straight up copy of Linear. This was everywhere on the internet for like a year. And now it's this, I don't know where this originated, this beige and then some neon thing. It makes me so angry. And it's cool looking, like it looks great. And I'm like, come on, guys, this is what you do. This is what you do. You make like branding. It's branding. You cannot brand a company. Here I go. You cannot brand a company. And then it just looks like every other company. That's the opposite of branding. God, it makes me so.
So you want to see more creativity and taking a chance as opposed to like, it's probably like one company got popular with that branding and they're like, oh, let's do it that way.
It must be that. No, I think a lot of it's subconscious. It's like people making the same jokes on Twitter all the time. I was today years old when blah, blah, blah. Like people don't say that so much anymore, but like for like 2 years, that was your tweet, or that's the tweet. When people would like say something and then go, that's it, that's the tweet. Like it's a joke you have heard and then you adopt it because you're like, oh, that's a funny way to say that thing. I'll say the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm being so judgy and shitty right now.
But you think it doesn't speak to any kind of like individual thinking or like originality, right? It's more like you're following the trend. That's your beef with.
Yeah. Well, and
like topic, right?
Listen, if people make the same joke as other people on Twitter, like that's not the point. The point is, I think we absorb stuff and then it pops into our head and we go, ooh, that's creative or funny or whatever. And then we just put it out there like it's our own unique thought. And I don't think people are aware of the inputs. You know what I mean? It's why
probably
I think,
not.
right.
Probably
like
not.
they're just not. But if you are in a creative field where your entire job is to produce things, then you better be aware of that stuff. Because otherwise you're just a photocopy machine, you know?
It's really hard to do, even at a personal level, right? Like there are things that are in my head that I'm like, where did I get that? And if I really spend the time to trace it back, it's like, oh, I saw that on like a TV show or some shit.
Yes.
And I just like my brain just interpreted that as true. You know, and like I've carried this on, like, you know, but it's hard to go back and think about. Or my dad said that once when I was 5. It may have been true 30 years ago, right? Like, it's really difficult to do.
Well, and like it's impossible to have a totally unique thought. I'm not saying I'm good at this, right? Like I don't think it's possible, right? Everything is based on some inputs, and then have you ever seen that thing? Everything's a remix.
Yeah.
Oh, John. Okay, everything is a remix. It's a YouTube like thing, and it's about music and art, and it is the best thing. You have to see this. Okay, watch. Hold on. I'm going to put it in the thing, and everyone needs to watch this before the next live stream. I have to.
You have homework to do, everybody.
You got homework. Yeah. Oh God, it's so good. I feel like.
Are you sharing something though? Because it's
no. I'm trying to find it before I.
All right. While you're doing that, Benoit says you're always mixing existing things when coming up with something new. Loads
Yes.
of influence from what you have experienced, no doubt. I think the basis from Primus said, like doing something, finding your own style is like trying to copy somebody else, but you do it wrong. Like I think
Oh, that's
that's a cool
interesting.
like way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, everybody go watch this. That's me who posted that, not John. I want to say it's like a 30-minute thing, but it is so genius, and it's exactly right. It talks about like how the Beatles did this and this, and then that became the Rolling Stone. I don't know what it is. It's been years since I watched this, but man, it's so good.
Is there something that we can you can Google that will put this up, because like you can't copy from the
Oh, I
comment
see.
here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
just type
how would
in
you Google to find
everything
that?
is a remix. Everything is a remix.
Gotcha,
And
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah, there's a website, like it's a whole thing now. This is the original or the website. But the
Oh, there
YouTube
we go.
video is sort of like, yeah. It's brilliant. I can't wait for you to watch it.
All right,
But
I'm gonna check it
yeah,
out.
point being, like, I don't like fault people for taking influences and like, creating things that are sort of like derivative of those things. Like that's just creativity. That's what art is, and that's what like even language is, right? Normal stuff that we all do is based on something we've experienced. It's when your job is to create something that's unique for a client, and you just end up creating something that has been done many, many, many times in the exact same way, that like you're not
That's what
doing your
grinds
job.
your gears.
Yeah, Maze, get a new and the thing is, it's just a color scheme. Like that website could be really unique in any number of color schemes, and they picked the same fucking one.
Not
Yeah,
hard to change a color palette.
it's really not. It's really not. Anyway,
All
sorry,
right.
sorry, everybody.
I'm gonna vote to make Kelly's rant a permanent segment on this live stream. Like I love a good Kelly rant.
Me too.
All right, so
I
I
need to
don't
get it out.
you got to get it out somewhere, right?
Yep.
All right, dude. Are we I have there's a few more things, but like I think we can probably wait till next week unless you have something burning that you want
Yeah,
to
yeah, nothing.
talk through. We're good.
No.
All right.
I'm kind of
This is
surprised we ended up having a real conversation, because I came into this like just like, well, I don't know if I'll be able to say words today. I'm so tired. It's so much.
yeah,
So,
same. The anxiety is high when you come back to doing this after like 3 weeks
yeah.
of not doing it. I'm like, oh man, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Do I have anything to say that
Yeah, yeah.
anyone would want to hear? But hello, 69 people watching at this moment.
Turns
We
out we do.
appreciate you.
All right, we'll see you all next week.
Yep. All right.
9:30, right? 9:30 Eastern time. That's
Yeah,
the
this is
new
our new
time.
time. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. All right. Bye.
Later.